Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. After the crazy Los Angeles Thieves Superteam rumours that have emerged, Scrappy has been instigated into a response here and not exactly denying what may well be happening over the coming weeks, especially because the CEO and founder effectively over there at Toronto Ultra, who denied the rumours that Scrappy was going to Cloud9 the other day, is not exactly denying the potential that he might go to the Thieves. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Couple of other interesting roster things just to mention real quick, because well, Laura Bear over here at Cloud9, I think these guys are at the Rocket League RLCS finals. I think there's a lot of that going on. So on the left hand side here we got JoeDeceives, current player for the Los Angeles Thieves of course, but well, if they get the roster that they are rumoured to be looking at, then maybe not for too much longer. If they can't get Envoy, which they're probably looking to according to sources, then you know it's very likely they are going to keep JoeDeceives around. He was great last season, especially towards the end of the year. Is it possible to get a better player? You know, they possibly will think so. The top teams in the world will think so. So, you know, just interesting that Cinder is here, still the coach for the Subliners or for Cloud9. ReeaL, we're not really sure if he's going to stay. The latest rumour is that he's not, and ReeaL's going to get another coaching opportunity, I'd imagine, somewhere else. But Cinder, therefore, might just be the number one all full-time head coach of the Subliners, and it's going to be Cloud9 next year, so they may need another player. I think that's the key talking point here. If HyDra disappears and they actually sell him to Thieves, which seems to be the only realistic candidate because Toronto, they're not going to pay the money for HyDra's buyout. Thieves maybe have the cash to actually pull this off. That's what we talked about yesterday, and if they do pull this off and they do spend the big amounts of money that we're going to talk about in a second, they may well be spending, JoeDeceives could be available, right? And if you're Cloud9, you're going to need someone with some talent because, you know, we talked about it yesterday. If you've got rid of Sib and HyDra goes, then you've got, you know, Skyz and Kismet, and you really are just, you know, praying for someone, you know, to actually lead the line from the SMG department. So I just thought it was worthy to mention of JoeDeceives and Cinder having a bit of a discussion here, because if the stars aligned in a certain way, it's not impossible that JoeDeceives ends up on Cloud9 next year, let's be real. So just something to keep in mind, and that there was some sort of reply here involving HyDra, I'm imagining, but you know, that then got deleted, so interested to hear your guys' thoughts on that situation. Clay as well is at the Rocket League stuff going on, and he actually says apologies for the radio silence, been spending some time disconnected, making sure my ducks are in a row, like I guess going into next season, right? Because Clay's opportunities are very interesting. He's talked about the possibility of even going to Warzone and playing that. I don't know how serious he is on that one. Obviously, you'd imagine the desk is an option for him if he wants to go in there alongside Ali, Nameless and Puckett. We're pretty sure that the opportunity is there. He did a great job at Champs, and then they were like, hey, do you want to come to the World Cup and do it again? And that's exactly what he did. So if Clay wants to do that, I'm sure the opportunity is there. You know, Clay's the perfect candidate for a role like that, as we've seen across multiple sports and esports over the last several generations. But if Clay still wants to compete, which he does, then where's the opportunity is going to arrive from? Is it potentially, you know, is a CDL spot up for grabs or not? And he kind of talks about, you know, ducks being in a row going into the upcoming season. And to be fair for Clay, given how slow everything has moved, there's still a possibility that something happens that changes the timeline on some level. Just wanted to mention this real quick. Dylan Cod is one of the more mysterious, enigmatic players in the history of the game. Came into the scene, I mean, really it was World War II that the European scene started to take note of this guy, and he was playing with ReeaL on some team called like Brash Esports, was it, or something, at the World Championship that year, and he kind of came around the scene. I think his first ever event, I'm pretty sure his first ever match, Dylan Cod, I refereed. I volunteered to referee at Studio Birmingham, and I think his first ever game that he played, I was on one of his group stage open bracket matches anyway. I was like the referee for it. He asked me for a new Cronus because at the time the Cronus matches were becoming a thing. So it was pretty funny anyway. People were talking about this Dylan Cod guy, saying that this guy's the truth, like he's next up type thing, and he fried obviously during the tournament. And then Black Ops 4 was his real breakout season when he was on that reciprocity team and was cooking beyond belief. And even to be fair, when Jetpacks disappeared, well, okay, he never played Jetpacks, but you know what I mean, it was kind kind of pseudo jetpacks Black Ops 4. We went from the CWL to the CDL at MW19, very different game to Black Ops 4. He was pretty damn good at that as well. But then he just kind of faded out and disappeared, and obviously there's been various theories as to what's happened to him, like, what type of people did he get involved in, basically, over there where he was living, and, derailed his COD career, unfortunately. Even ReeaL says, I nearly had an actual fist fight with him after choking map 1 against Rise at Champs. And, ask Juni in the replies if you really want to know. He's now back in Ireland, right? So he's from Northern Ireland originally, Dylan COD, but he's banned from entering the US for overstaying his visa. So, yeah, that's the latest update we have on Dylan, but, apparently he's home, like, he's well, and so, like, I don't know if he's well, but wishing him the best anyway. I just thought, people want to know what's up with Dylan COD, so I saw that yesterday, and I thought, you know what, that's kind of interesting. Let's just talk about it real quick before we get into the Rostermania drama, because this is the latest theory on what some of these teams might be up to and trying to form for next season. This HyDra, Envoy, Scrap, Ghosty thing would be absurd. The chances of it happening are probably in the single-figure percentages, at least as a full quartet, but the likelihood of one or two of these things happening definitely seems possible to me. So it's not guaranteed by any means, obviously, but there has been, understandably, it's a bit of an instigation last night as to whether Scrappy knows anything about this. The other thing just to mention real quick is from Adamu, so the co-founder, CEO over at Overactive Media, Toronto Ultra, and he tweets quite a lot about various things. The other day, there were rumours, as Ronnie said, that Cloud9 are getting closer to getting the deal for Scrap done. It's quite clear that Ultra are willing to sell for the right price. And, this is mainly because Ultra are not just a COD team, or just a team in general. It's also a business over there, right? And I think that's one of the things to note, that some of these organizations operate like a business and some do not. And Ultra are thinking, well, Scrappy is an incredibly valuable asset, arguably the most valuable asset in the league that actually might potentially be available, although we'll talk about HyDra in a couple of seconds. They only have one more year on his deal, and I guess Toronto feel like it's rather likely that after what they've done with Scrap over the last few years, brought him up through the academy, had a great couple of seasons with him winning events, not quite winning champs, but got pretty close. They might feel, alright, after next year, Scrappy's going to leave anyway for free, so, better for us to just sell him now. And that might well be a valid business argument. Toronto fans aren't going to be happy with it, but that might well be a valid business argument. However, the other day, when the rumour was that they were going to sell him to Cloud9, Adamu says not true. Now, what exactly was not true? Was it the fact that things aren't getting closer, as in, basically the deal had stalled on some level, and he's saying that's not true, or is he just denying it for the sake of denying it, because sometimes that's how these things go? The interesting thing I thought is that after yesterday's big rumours around Scrappy to Thieves, he then tweeted this out. What to do, any interesting rumours out there? Been travelling in and out of the loop on what the general manager of Toronto Ultra is up to. So, what do we think about this? Because the other day, he pretty emphatically shut down and denied the idea that the Scrappy to Cloud9 deal was getting any closer. And then a couple of days later, when we hear, around basically a week or so later really, when we hear rumours about the fact that potentially the Los Angeles Thieves are looking at Scrappy, then he's like, oh, any interesting rumours? Like, what should we do type thing? So, definitely interesting, isn't it? I thought the disparity in the responses here, because this makes me seem more confident that it's not impossible, is it? Let's be honest, for this to potentially actually happen. The question is, a lot of money would be involved. BenJ's sources say the total buyout would be even more than we talked about yesterday, something in the $750,000 ballpark. If they've got this amount of cash, and if the players are willing to do so and make it happen, they would have to take some salary cuts, but obviously, if that was the case, as the FaZe boys have done, over the last few years, I think the FaZe boys have taken multiple pay cuts at times year on year, because Atlanta FaZe Esports didn't have the cash to pay them all the money that they wanted, so they said, well, alright, we're happy to take a pay cut because we get to play with each other and we get to just ball out in terms of prize money every single year, which is still true, and especially true now the World Cup is a thing, with an additional $1.8 million on the line each year, that obviously FaZe won the lion's share of just a few weeks ago. So if you're, Thieves, and if you're potentially this team, you're not going to be too dissatisfied taking a pay cut to go here, because you're expecting to make that all back and more in prize money, you would imagine. And also, winning has value as well. It's not just about the money at the end of the day. So that's what BenJ thinks. He thinks it's unlikely because where are they getting this cash from? Let's be real. I mean, Thieves last year were saving up funds. They look like not exactly a budget team, but not too far away. They did well at the end of the year. This would be a big risk to take on some level, paying all this cash for these players. What if it doesn't work? But the opportunity of getting Scrap and HyDra together in the black and red of Los Angeles Thieves is an incredibly attractive prospect. So I did want to share what Scrappy said about this, because Octane doing the Lord's work, instigating Scrap and saying, hey, you know, how do you feel about playing with HyDra? I bet you can't wait. And Scrap's like, what are you talking about?
Boy, Paco and Scrap. Let me just turn the music. I'll just turn the music down a little bit. To buy out all 3 players, it'd probably be like $750,000. And everybody I talk to thinks that that would be probably like the number in a best case scenario. To like, if Thieves were to get Paco, Envoy, and Scrap, it's going to cost them $750,000. And then assume that everybody takes a pretty massive pay cut. Let's just run a number out, 200K, right? So that's 800K. I mean, you're already $500,000 in the bag on salary and the buyouts at that point before like T&E, like all that stuff. So you're probably realistically, when it's all said and done, going to be, you know, closer maybe to 2 million than you are to 1.5 for a year spent. And I just don't know if Thieves have that cash just lying around. I just don't know if they're willing to, like, you know, bring in additional investment. It's a big spend for them. And everybody I talked to.
Are you excited to team with Paco next year or no? That's going to be fucking nuts.
Why Paco?
Because you're joining the Los Angeles Thieves with Paco and Envoy.
Is that a leak?
I think so.
Damn. That's wild.
You didn't see Breaking Point's tweet?
Nope.
It was yesterday. It was like this whole thing. Everyone kept coming in to ask me what I think about it. You don't remember that?
Nope.
No. Okay.
I was on a roller coaster.
I must be fucking tweaking. That's on me. That's wild, bro.
Well,
Caesar and kids are just sitting in fucking New York, just dick in hand. They don't know what's going on.
Jesus.
They're just sitting there looking for 2.
I wonder what Cloud9 is doing.
So Scrap does not explicitly deny the possibility of joining Los Angeles Thieves. Of course, he's not really going to say. And also I wonder how much power he really has in this situation. Toronto control his contract. If they decide you're going to stay, then he's going to stay. The only way around that really is if he kicks up a fuss. I mean, this nearly happened last year. I think he was tweeting, wasn't he, about like being stuck in jail or whatever, because the rumor was last year that they were going to sell CleanX and Insight and effectively form a team with Scrappy and 3 Challengers players, and he weren't happy about that. And the players have some power in the sense that they can basically, if they want to publicly say, oh, this org is holding me hostage, I want to leave, and I don't want to play for these guys anymore, and then it puts that org in a tricky position, because while they still own the contract, they know that they're not going to get that player at their best if they keep them for next season, so they're kind of obligated to potentially come to an arrangement to sell. So that is one potential power play that the players have, but, you know, to be fair, if Scrap stayed on Toronto, assuming they keep CleanX and Insight, I don't think he's going to be particularly unhappy about that, but of course, his idea would surely be to play with HyDra, right? I mean, we talked about this a long time ago. Why would Scrap and HyDra not want to team up? I mean, they are the best AR and SMG, like, arguably in the game, certainly outside of OpTic and FaZe. They should want to team up. It just makes too much sense. Where they team up is where can get them, basically, and that's why the Los Angeles Thieves are being considered to be potentially a chief candidate. So, and also Scrap says, wow, did it leak? Now, obviously, he says that a bit, you know, like, tongue-in-cheek, a bit sarcastically. I don't think he actually was, like, confirming it or whatever in what he said there. But, nonetheless, interesting to hear his perspective and not really shutting down any of the rumors. But as I say, does he have that much control? I mean, if Toronto are committed to selling and Cloud9 pay the money, then he's going there. If Thieves pay the money, then he's going there. Kind of regardless. But it seems like, maybe kind of regardless as well, wherever he goes, maybe HyDra is his teammate as a result. He could potentially go to Thieves, no HyDra. That's a possibility. But that doesn't hit the same as maybe going to Cloud9 with HyDra, assuming HyDra stays. But we really don't know what's going to happen, and certainly what's going to happen next. But very much interested to your thoughts on all this in the comments below. Always exciting, really, when these guys turn the stream on live, when we know full well there's lots of interesting things happening right now behind the scenes. But very much intrigued to your thoughts. Patty P as well, he's finally got one right. He talks about every year Ultra being the champions. Didn't happen this year, of course, but Vikul actually did win the solo YOLO yesterday in the World Series of Warzone. So yeah, as Aches predicted, 2024 world champion. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.